We have patch notes 101.0. The Ironclad changes are great. New Regent seems like it's gonna be really, really interesting to play. Overall, feels pretty good for this patch. It's time for another beta patch where we test out experimental changes. Today we're going to do something a little different from the patch notes, as I'll be giving some insights into our design intent. I actually am very curious about this. I would really like to know. And thoughts on various changes. Reminder that nothing in the beta range is set in stone. I think he's mostly saying this because of the outcry from some people last patch about things getting changed, which I didn't understand, but it's fine. Expect lots of back and forth, and above all, please let me know what you think by using the in-game feedback tool by hitting F2. Getting into the meat of the potatoes. Reworks and reverts. Depreciated prepare and prepare returns. Common skill, cost 1, discard 2 turns. Next turn, gain 2-3 energy. Back to original. We just get straight up prepared back. No changes. That's insanely important for discard. Like insanely important. I'm glad they did not actually put back any of the numbers on the slide cards because they're kind of crazy. I feel like they're still going to be really, really strong. Silent overall still feels like the best character in the game, even without prepared. And now I think it's very clear that she is just the best character by a lot. Okay, reverted capture spirit to its previous version. Interesting. And reverted borrowed time. Wait, so they just turned back the nerfs. Its uncommon skill costs 1. Enemy loses 2-3 HP. Add 2-3 souls into the draw pile. Back to enemy loses 3-4 HP. Add 3-4 souls back into the draw pile. Borrowed time now is the same as old. So went from cost 0, apply 6-3 doom to yourself, gain 1 energy, to apply 3 doom to yourself, gain 1-2. So yeah, this is just infinite is back basically. I'm very curious what they say about why this is the case. I don't think that borrowed time was very pickable in its current state. So I'm not exactly unhappy to see that, but I don't think that Capture Spirit needed this because it still is like okay if you're just trying to go infinite. But Souls as an archetype just doesn't really feel like it's a thing right now without Dirge. Or at least I should say Dirge sticking around. Okay, starting off, I am reverting the changes made last week to prepared, borrowed time, and capture spirit for prepared. While I still think that the Sly synergies are overall too dominant of a strategy, agree. Prepared is so integral to the Silence core identity that I will be looking for a different approach to bring Sly in line in the future. Very good. So they're acknowledging that it's too strong, but this is not the way to do it, which I agree with. Borrowed time is likely to receive a complete rework in the future, but for now I prefer that the card is fun to play with in all decks. Okay, so again, also just a temporary fix. Identified as problematic, but they don't know how to fix it, so they're just gonna keep it back. Okay, Regens, reworked Arsenal card, power, wow. Rare, cost 1 whenever you play a colors card, gain 1-2 strength. To power, rare, cost 1 innate. Whenever you create a card, gain 1 strength. That is much better. Much better. I think it just kind of glues their archetype together a little bit. To actually function in the way they want. I think they were trying to go too many different directions of like colorless creation, and you have like a little bit of offshoots of like this creation archetype, and now we're sort of narrowing it down to one thing. And it looks like it actually can work. There's like the Regent rare that makes a bunch of debris in your hand, and now this is just gonna say like gain 6-7 strength or something. And it always comes down before that card, so you can sort of play like rush fights, which is cool. Potions and Relics. Reworked Pendulum. Whenever you shuffle a draw pile, draw a card. To comment every 3 turns, draw 1 card. That is better. This is less infinite coded, but overall, I think a welcome change. This is just a rework. This is not necessarily a nerf or buff. I think this is just different. That seems good, though. For most decks, this is more applicable. And probably procking around roughly the same. It works better in bigger decks. So they're just still trying to keep you away from doing the small deck infinite style thing. Reworked and nerfed the Doormaker. Fight is now less random. It's receiving another rework. Now each visual phase he is in has its own unique power to hamper the player. All of them are disruptive and will hopefully encourage interesting play, but should now be less random and reward player agency more. I do like this. I know some people will be very sad that Doormaker is gone. I think for the most part, we did a couple of different polls on Discord and on Twitch. And most people don't like this enemy. And I think that that's probably probably good that they decided to get rid of this. I think the average person probably needs to have fun here. I like that it's hard, but I don't really like that it feels very random in its way, which I guess they acknowledge. The door is still cool, maybe even harder. Interesting. Okay, let's just find out what happens, huh? So he has a lot of HP now. Whenever you play an attacker, skill is exhausted. So still a way to counter infinite. Also a cool animation here. So it looks like I sort of just get owned here. And maybe they all have different mechanics, so I can't loop cards really again. And then he cycles, and now there is a different buff. This is so much cooler, man. Cannot draw additional cards during your turn. Okay, so cool, dude. So much cooler. Oh my god. And now it goes back to the old one? No, completely different. First card you play each turn now costs 1 additional. Okay. And now we're back to the exhausted. Okay, awesome. Yeah, this is so much cooler. So much cooler. So you can sort of memorize the cycle here and then play around that every turn. There's a lot more player agency, but it still is going to punish you for trying to infinite on the first turn after. You probably can... It says the first card you play each turn... So on turn 3, well, after he spawns, and you could still do an infinite thing. The exhaust thing sucks. Does it make you infinite, though? It looks like it does. Yeah, it doesn't really counter infinite. It does make it harder to go in, and I don't think it's going to kill you in the first couple of turns. So yeah, it just sort of lets you like exhaust things on turn 2. I think this is a way cooler idea, though. This is a way cooler idea. I think it's probably not fully baked yet. Because you can sort of just go in on turn 3. Like this turn, you can't draw, but you can sort of just set up like so. And then now you can go in here as long as you can pay this card. But after you play it once, everything goes down. So this feels like you can just sort of go infinite again on turn 3 afterwards. Yeah, this is way more thematic, like revolving doors. That's so much cooler. Yeah, I like this a lot more. I don't think it's fully baked yet, but this is a way cooler idea. Okay, balance. Elites can no longer spawn on floor 6 to better match Spire 1. So we have, I assume, one more floor before elite spawn. So usually or more often you get a fire before elite, which is kind of cool. I like the way that Spire 1 works, so no qualms here. Improved map generation consistency. Don't know what that means, but I'm sure they will address that. Fixed maps sometimes generating with fewer shops than intended. Gloom Ascension modifier no longer affects question mark rooms in addition to rest sites. Okay. Since now counts as the first floor of the map, elites were actually spawning 1 floor earlier than they should have been. We did notice that on day 1, but I thought this was intentional, which I guess it's not, which should make it easier to take on elites. Although one thing to note is that advanced hallways are now going to be more prevalent. You probably want to path to a couple more question marks inside of Act 1, because advanced hallways oftentimes are just as hard as elites but carry no reward. We'll get to that in the pathing video later. This change should have had a big impact on how tough fighting early elites is. Additionally, we found some improvements could not be made to map generation algorithm to help limit the number of maps overflowing with early monster rooms and not much else. Okay, I haven't really noticed this, but I guess they want you to have a little more agency, so it's going to feel a lot less random, and you are not going to be as often forced into advanced hallways, which ties in with what I just said. For the Gloom change, although it did make the game more difficult, it was not in a satisfying or fun way, as it just made maps less interesting. Instead, I would be looking to rework Gloom entirely in the future to a modifier that makes the game harder, but in a more interesting way. So cool, we probably get a completely different Ascension modifier, so we might get a whole new layer of difficulty added, which could be very good for the game, I believe. Right now, I think most top players probably feel that the game is too easy, people are winning too much, and it does not seem to have the staying power that Spire 1 has in terms of needing to get really good at the game in order to win consistently. Ironclad buffs Cinder card. Now exhausts a random card in your hand instead of the top of the draw pile. Thank God. Change Tremble to now exhaust, which is honestly just kind of a buff. I was talking about how that probably should have just exhausted. Still works really well with Dominate, but that's sick. Cinder upgrading to exhaust a random hand is so much more playable because you can actually control it and you can play the important card first. Tremble exhausting is just nice. It was already pickable and now just seems way less clunky and works with stuff like Feel No Pain, which I'm super happy with. And yeah, he says it's buff to Ironclad's exhaust synergies and coupled with Cinder Chain should have a large impact on the Ironclad's card. I agree. I think Cinder is much more pickable now. You don't ever get this paranoia of exhausting your most important power or something. You can just play it before Cinder, which is crazy. Yeah, super welcome. Also works nicely with Unrelenting to discount because you play your Unrelenting, get it out of your hand. That's an important card, and then you make Cinder cost 0, which is really nice. Okay, Silent Buff Serpent form needed this really badly. This card is like very unpickable currently. I think the base damage needs to go up, so I don't know how much this is really going to change. I think this is just an awful card right now. It's like payoff for infinite, which we're not really doing as much anymore, but maybe with Doormaker completely changed. We don't know what it is yet. We'll have to play and find out. Or maybe they'll list it down below. But yeah, with Doormaker change and with Prepared back, maybe infinite style stuff is back on the table. Regents. That's a lot of buffs for a character that I don't think needs it. Falling Star damage from 7 to 8. Whoa. That's insane. That is very impactful. Glitter Stream next turn increased from 4 to 5 instead of... Yeah, wow. 4 to 6 upgraded to 5 to 7 upgraded. That's a big buff as well. That card was already really pickable. It feels like a lot of these things are already pickable. Parry is buffed from 8 to 10 now, and upgrades from 11 to 14, which is a huge number. 4 is huge. So this card went, I think, from 6 to 8 to 8 to 10, which is crazy. I think this is a lot more pickable now. If you just have a sword that you're willing to swing, I mean, it's 10 block is a big number. You're still not really building an archetype around this, but that's fine. Buffed Refined Blade. Forge increased from 6 to 10 to 9 to 13. That's very pickable now. Another thing that makes it... I mean, Regen's just going to be insane now, right? Like, I'm already picking these kinds of things in runs that I need to. And now they're just a lot better. I mean, there's no nerfs here. There's all buffs. This is the card that gives you 1 energy next turn. So that's just a really big number along with a pretty decent upside. Buff Celestial Might. This card was really trash. This is the 6x3 card that costs 2 common. The upgrade changed from +2 damage to 1 additional hit, which is +6 damage upgrade. Or sorry, no, +4 if you subtract the original, which is really sick. And increases multi-hit synergies, which, yeah, this is already kind of crazy. I think that number is already decently big. Actually, sorry, no, the +2 damage applies on all the multis, sorry. So this is really just same damage, but reworked to work better with strength, essentially. Guiding Star now draws cards immediately. What? This is the 1 energy 2 star cost that draws 2 and 3 upgraded. I mean, this character did have a lot of problems actually drawing cards because of glow nerf, but that's insane. And now we can do loops with that. That's just Pommel Strike. You need a star generation now, and you can sort of just draw a billion. That's kind of crazy. I like Guiding Star a lot already, and now it's just like a lot stronger. Sword Sage card no longer increases the cost of Sovereign Blade. This made it hit twice, and I think this is a really good change because I believe now Sword Sage costs 1 or 2. I can't remember. But I believe you can play this on the same turn as Sovereign Blade now, instead of it being unplayable on the same turn. So you can actually use this to burst the enemy down, which is kind of crazy and works with parry. Chain Spoils of War card now draws 2, but Forge decrease from 12 to 17 to 5 to 8. That's good. I guess they're just, again, addressing the draw problem after glow nerf, because this character really, I think, had Pale Blue Dot as its like main draw engine now, which was delayed and kind of just felt like you're playing Pocket Watch turns every turn, which is strong, but doesn't come on immediately. So there's a lot more impulse draw, which is overall just really good. And I think just having the sword like is better than having a big number on the sword, if that makes sense. I'd rather just create it and be able to work with it. The draw 2 is very welcome for this replacement. That seems very strong. Nerf Voltaic card, energy cost increased from 2 to 3. I don't really know why this is nerfed, to be honest. I don't think Voltaic is like a particularly broken card. It's a way to win a fight, but you need to play it multiple times. Door punished that. Don't know what Door is going to do now, so maybe it's not true, but you had to be able to play this a bunch of times, and it never really feels like this was super broken. Yeah, it just beats bosses. It's already bad in hallways. You have to channel a lot of lightning to begin with. I don't know what kind of decks are really channeling a million lightning like this. Seems weird. Buff Tiny Mailbox. What? This really like already felt okay. Rarity from common to uncommon. So you're gonna see it less, which is kind of good for a lot of people. I think the rest of the commons are just really strong. And potions per year increase from 1 to 2. Wow. That is a huge, huge buff. Yeah, 2 potions on rest is crazy value. You can basically think of this as gaining gold on rest. You basically just get 100 gold on rest. That's nuts. Change permafrost relic ready, move from common to uncommon. I guess they wanted you seeing this less often early in the run when it feels the worst. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I think it's still strong. Bag of marbles is back to common. I think, okay, the biggest thing with these rarity changes is really how much they cost. And you're not often buying permafrost in the store. You're going to buy bag of marbles in the first store now for like 150, which is sweet. And now you can actually just like rush in hallways and like blow up stuff. And red mass, the same thing. It's cheap now. You can actually buy it. It becomes worth to buy. Less so than bag of marbles. I think weakness on turn 1, not as often good as Vul on turn 1 for the most part, but still really good. I mean, this is still blocking quite a lot. It's just that not every enemy attacks on turn 1. A lot of them do buffs. Bellows changed from uncommon to rare. I think this is fair. This is a really, really strong relic. I just had a run today that got carried by this. Just seeing it less often, especially in the early game. Again, moving these rarities when you buy them less often. That's the main change. So you're going to see them less often in the early game, see them less often overall, but it's probably a very run warping relic in the early game. I mean, I know it was for me. So yeah, nice. Lasting candy relic shifted from rare to uncommon. This is the relic that gives you an extra power every 2 fights. You'll see this more often early now, so it can snowball into something. I think this is very welcome as well. Change crossbow relic now uses free to play instead of cost 0 energy. This is really just a regent fix, a bug fix kind of. It's not really a bug, but it makes it work with stars, so just a buff for regents. Vexing puzzle box, same deal. Last till end of turn. That's probably very welcome. I think this was incredibly broken. Sometimes it would just create a 0 cost card that could sometimes be insanely broken. You can just cycle it over and over. Liquid Memories also uses free to play. Very welcome. I think they've reworded a lot of these things again to fix regent problems. So I've seen a lot of regent buffs. These are all really just regent buffs, and then all the buffs above are just regent buffs as well. So I guess I think honestly regent didn't need the buffs. The character feels pretty good. I think people are just worse at regent. It's not in the first game, and it's more difficult, I think, than the rest of the characters. But that's really, really strong. You can just cheat out something. Maybe you have a 7 stars and now you liquid memories it back and you cheat it out, and that's really strong. You'd be surprised how often this is going to play. You can cheat out a lot of things that cost high stars and add them to the deck when you have a memories potion to be able to do it one time. Very, very strong. For relic rarity, the design goal is that commons are not necessarily weaker, but that they are often simple effects that could add value to most decks. I think I touched on this earlier. They don't want you seeing the snowflake early on when you often don't have powers, and it doesn't feel very good. And rarity increases, we allow higher complexity and more impact on drafting play decisions. Makes sense. Nerf Skulking Colony, thank God. Deals less damage. Damage Skull Colony no longer applies dazed. Oh, wait, this is way nerfed then. This is like really, really, really nerfed. Because that was the main problem. I honestly think it could stay the same if it no longer has dazes, or keep the dazes and do this. But both at the same time feels way too heavy-handed. Yeah, now you just block it forever and it doesn't mess with your draw consistency. That's really easy now. I don't know by how much they changed it, but yeah, that's crazy. Haunted Ship now applies dazed status cards. This is a hallway fight that has like 67 HP, so you often don't see the redraw, so it's just gonna matter a lot less. Yeah, really weird. Nerf Lost and Forgotten Staff Theft no longer scales with Ascension. This thing felt really weak to me anyways, so I don't really care. Waterfall Giant now has 10 less HP, so this usually probably means it deals 3 less damage to you when it blows up, and maybe you don't take the hit as well, so makes it a bit easier. I don't feel like Waterfall Giant was like too big of a problem. There were answers to it, and the fact that you can see it from the beginning of the act and start building towards that makes me feel like it didn't need this, but it's still probably not that big of a deal. 10 HP is not that much. Skull King Colony went from 2 weak to 2 strong. Agree, but I think this puts it back to 2 weak. Frankly, we'll see. I found that the day status has actually worked against the design goals of this power. The new version is a tighter design overall that presents a more unified question for the player to answer. If the encounter is now 2 weak, simple numbers can be buffed in the future. Really, it just wants you to block it over time. You have like 5 turns minimum to kill it, so you're sitting there for a while. But now I feel like you can sort of weak chain, and then Silent is just like celebrating this. You no longer get owned ever. Cloud is actually really celebrating as well. Big deal, big deal. Okay. Events. Disallowed gold generation relics from showing up as the featured relic in the Welcome to Wongo's event. That's probably good. I don't want to ever pay gold to get a gold generating relic. It just kind of feels bad. Mad Science skill chaos option in the Tinker Time event now uses free to play instead of cost 0 energy. So again, Regent buff, because this would generate a random card in your hand, and now Regent can just cheat it out. I think that's intentional, but again, Regent just got a lot of buffs here. Art. Test subject burn animation. Axe and crossbow rereaders now have improved textures. Sure, portrait art for falling cards. Compact shatter. Fuel. Consuming shadow. Subroutine trust treasure. Don't care that much about this, but we'll read it out or if you do. User interface and experience. Date at top right now reflects build date instead of current date. That is good. Increased feedback form. Character limit from 500 to 8,000. That's actually useful because I will use that now. Before it was not very useful to me to actually fully explain why behind anything. Okay, bug fixes. Fix exploit where you can control or navigate to card grid when the upgrade, remove, enchant, transform preview screen is open. Fix a crash that could occur at the start of the player's turn when abandoning a run. Fix a soft block that could occur while abandoning a run during a combat style event. Fix card upgraded to cost 0, now sorting correctly when ordered by cost in the deck view. A typo there. Fix the Y and X glyphs being incorrect on Switch controllers. Format large numbers on victory screen uses the player's language. Localized feedback screen category label. A proper error is displayed if you try to join an in-progress game. Fix soft lock when a monster's visuals would fail to load. Numbers are now formatted appropriately to the player's language. I didn't personally encounter any of these crashes or bugs. So obviously, like, they're not super frequent, but bug fix is always good and not going to complain. Necrobinder, fix Grave Warden plus showing Soul plus in its hover tip preview. Fix Seance plus showing Shoal plus in its hover tip preview. So these are like leftover remnants of the old patch that they changed. Foul Potion no longer damages Aussie. Well, Foul Potion says it deals damage to everyone, but I guess that would feel kind of bad. Okay. Potions and relics. Fixed a state divergence related to Joss Paper Relic. Fixed a state divergence related to Dual Cast card and Sneckwai Relic. I think this is probably multiplayer states, I'm assuming. Enemies, fix a soft lock when playing Scrape, a card against the Doormaker boss. Scrape, once again, just proving to be completely buggy. Maybe we should delete the game, guys. Oh, I accidentally went to the top of the page. 1 second. Okay. Ancients, fix being able to save and load at Nia to avoid the damage taken from precarious shears. Fix soft lock when you play an imbued card that prompts a card selection and Vaku's Whispering Earring Relic. Fix issues with Pale's Eye Relic when the player dies at the start of an extra turn. So I guess from like Ironclad self-damage. Events. Fix doll room sound effects continue to play if you save and quit from the events. Fix state divergence when you use Driftwood Relic at any events. Fix timing related state divergence at the doll room events. Fix timing related state divergence when entering Battle-Worn Dummy events. Waterlog Scriptorium event, Tentacle Quill, and Prickly Sponge options now probably show a hover tip for retain. Multiplayer, fix back button not repairing if you unready in a multiplayer load game lobby. Fix Beacon of Hope power hover tip description so it no longer says stacks. Bottle Potential now shuffles the target player's cards, not yours. Fix Radiate card counting stars from other players. Dang, that's cool though. That was cool. It's definitely a bug, but very cool. If both players have Pale's Eye and only one player triggers the extra turn, the second player no longer takes their extra turn immediately afterwards. Fix rare timing issues when any player selects random. Fix Haunt Procking when another player plays Soul. I overall am kind of happy, and it feels like a lot of my complaints from last patch is being addressed here, or are being addressed here. I don't think, again, they said that they're not settling on these prepared nerfs, and they're going to find another way to deal with the Sly package overall. These cards, same deal, Capture Spirit and Borrowed Time. Overall, the rest of it feels like completely fine. Skull King Colony is probably over nerfed, but the Ironclad changes are great. And Regent probably doesn't need these changes, but they don't feel bad necessarily. They feel like they're going in the right direction. I think we're going to have to tweak numbers once again, but overall feels pretty good for this patch. I'm happy that Prepared is back, although I don't think Silent needs the help at all. I just think that's a core identity card. So we'll see. New Regent seems like it's going to be really, really interesting to play. And yeah, overall very happy.